This video will cover page 3-13 in our notes. So the previous video about 3-12 was function notation. So I'm just showing that here so you remember that you are going to be given a function and then we were given a number to plug in wherever the x is. So these first two problems on page 313, instead of giving a number to plug in, they're giving us a new expression. So we can see in number 9, c plus 7 is what's in the parentheses. So all you do is wherever there's an x, you need to replace it with what's ever in the parentheses, which is c plus 7. It is absolutely necessary to put your parentheses after the 4 when you rewrite it. So we would do f of c plus 7 equals 4 parentheses c plus 7 plus 11. So you put the parenthesis just where the x is, and c plus 7 is what goes in there. Excuse me. So now you distribute the 4c plus 28. Don't forget to bring down the plus 11. Combine our like terms. Your final answer is 4c plus 39. So instead of getting an actual number, you're just going to get a new expression. For number 10, again, you look at what's in the parentheses, and that's going to go in place of the x. Even though there's no number in front of the x, you still need to make sure you put parentheses because you're subtracting the whole thing. So h of 2k minus 5 equals negative 9 minus parentheses 2k minus 5. So if you have more than one thing, you absolutely need parentheses. So distributing the negative sign, or if you need to think of it having a negative 1 there, we would have negative 9 minus 2k plus 5. Negative times a negative is a positive. Combine our like terms, our final answer would be negative 2k minus 4. So no different than plugging just a number in, but you're going to have to distribute and combine like terms if you have an expression rather than just a number. These next problems are going to have a function notation and then something else on the outside of it. So number 11, you're going to add 9. Number 12, you're going to multiply by negative 2. As you can see in 13, you have two different g functions that you're going to evaluate and then add them together. There's two ways you can do this. You can rewrite the entire thing. All right, so you would write out all of f plus 4 and add 9 to it, or you can find just f of 4, and then when you get that answer, you would add 9. That's the way I'm going to do it, just because sometimes there's lots of things that you're going to do, so it's kind of easier to keep them separate. So I am just going to find f of 4 to start with. So I'm using this one. 8 minus 3 times 4 would be 8 minus 12, which is negative 4. So then that, when we look at this, f of 4 gets replaced by negative 4 plus 9, so my final answer is 5. Now, if you would have wanted to just do it all at once, you would have just put a plus 9 right here. And for this problem, it would have been very simple just to do that and get the 5 right away. But like for number 12, you would have to distribute and things like that. So it's a lot easier just to do it all at the end. So number 12, it's very important that you notice that we're using function g, which is the middle one. So part of it is looking and knowing which function you're using. And we're doing negative 5. So g of negative 5 equals, remember we need to put the negatives in parentheses. So negative 5 squared plus 2 times negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. 2 times negative 5 would be negative 10. So you can put minus 10 or you can put plus negative 10. That's up to you. But we would end up with 15. Now again, that's not our final answer. That just takes the place of that. So we still need to do -2 times 15 to get -30 for our answer. So don't forget, if you do it this way, to go back and multiply or add or whatever it is that you need to do. Number 13, we're using g again. We're doing g of 4 and g of -1. So you could write it all out with a plus sign in the middle. If it's a subtraction sign, though, you would have to put parentheses to distribute, so that's why I always just do them separately. So I'm going to do g of 4, which would be 4 squared plus 2 times 4. Even though there's not negatives, I still put it in parentheses just to get used to that. 16 plus 8 gives me 24. G of -1 gives me -1, that does have to be in parentheses, squared, plus 2 times -1. -1 squared is 1, 2 times -1 is -2. So 1 minus 2 gives me -1. So I'm going to have 24 plus -1. So 23 is my final answer. So again, going back to the original problem and seeing that I needed to add my two answers together. (14), we're using h of 2 and f of -9. So we need to go back and realize we're doing h first. So that's the one that we are plugging in first, and we're plugging 2 into that. So h of 2 is equal to -5 halves times 2 minus 1. -5 minus 1, which is -6. Then we need to do f of -9. That's 8 minus 3 times -9. So that would be 8 minus negative, or just plus 27. And that gives us 35. So I need to replace the h of 2 with -6 and the f of -9 with 35. So 3 times -6 minus 35 gives me -18 minus 35, which is -53 for my final answer. So again, I like to do them separately and then just go plug them back into the expression and then do the multiplication or addition, subtraction, whichever it is. So that was all evaluating when they tell you to plug something in for the x, whether that's a number like most of them or once in a while an expression. These last few, they are going to tell you what f of x is equal to. So what that means is that this is the answer. This is what it's equal to. Your job is to figure out what x is. So now you are replacing the f of x with -13. So if you set it up how it looks, we would have, we're using this one, -13 equals 8 minus 3x. So if you put it in the order how it is, that's what it would look like. Now, most of us don't want to write it that way, so I'm going to write it over here as 8 minus 3x equals -13. You are allowed to write it that way instead. But instead of plugging a number in for x, they're going to tell you what it's equal to, and you're going to solve. So solving this, I would subtract 8. -3x equals -21. Divide by -3, and x equals 7 is my answer. So if you think about ordered pairs, they're giving you the y value, and you have to work backwards to find the x value. For 16, we're using h of x, and they're telling us it's equal to 39. So when we look at h of x, it's this one, the bottom one. Again, I'm going to rewrite it, so I'm going to put equal to 39 rather than 39 equals. So -5 halves x minus 1 equals 39. Then I need to solve that equation, so I'm going to add 1. Negative 5 halves x equals 40. And remember, to get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, so times negative 2/5. And our answer is x equals negative 16. So if they give you f of x or whatever function letter it is equals something, then you are going to set your equation equal to whatever number they give you, and then you're going to have to solve for x. All right. We're just going to look at 17 quick. I'm not actually going to do it, but they just want you to plug 46 in and tell what it means. So if you read through it, 46 is the length of a femur, and then the answer, the output, would be how tall the person is in centimeters. These last ones are using a graph. So they want you to find f of negative 3 using the graph. So negative 3 is left 3, and looks like we go up 2. So you're finding the ordered pair. You're finding the y value for the given x value. B, f of 1, so I go right 1, and that one is also up 2. F of 0 means I stay here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, they give you the x, you're finding the y. F of 2 means count right 2. 1, 2, 3. So down 3 is negative 3. (19), we look at f of negative 4. So we count left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 2. So the y value is 2. F of 0 means I stay put, and it actually goes through 0, 0. F of 2 means I go right 2, and I count, and I go down 2, so my y value is negative 2. And my last one, f of 5, right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1, so negative 1. So if they're giving you a graph and they want you to find f of a certain number, that's the x value, so count left or right, and then figure out what your y value is.